you hear the word morality, what comes to mind? Code of conduct, goodness, principles, morals? Today on the show, we'll be talking about morality and what it should mean to you. And May, don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is Catholic Faith Forum. I'm May, and I'm here with Fra J.
I think we should call ourselves the dynamic duo because we've done this over and over again. It's a beautiful thing to always do this. Thank you very much for having me again.
Thank you for being here, Father.
Thank you.
So we're going to be talking about morality, which is a very technical subject, actually.
Yes, it is. It's very technical because especially in a day and time when people want to do as they please, there's the need to bring people back to the right path and help them understand that there is a way to be moral. There's
a way to live, a right way and a wrong way. Okay, so how should we define morality?
Morality basically means the right way to do things, the rightness or the wrongness of an action. And often it has to do with human actions. There are some actions that are moral. There are some actions that are amoral, or as Americans would say, amoral. But then actions that are considered under the spectrum of morality are actions that are strictly that way, speaking. Let's take an example of telling the truth, for instance. It is a moral action. It's an action that can be judged to be either right or wrong. So if a person tells the truth, then the person is said to be moral. If a person tells a lie or says something that is false, the person is judged to be immoral. And then, of course, with moral actions, you can pass judgment. Even though people tell you, don't judge me. But when by virtue of your action, you don't even need anybody.
You can tell whether you're right or wrong.
Your actions put you in one place or the other. Either put you on the side of right or on the side of wrong. So morality basically is about the rightness or wrongness of an action. Okay,
so is there a relationship between faith and morals?
Yes.
And morality?
Yes. In the church, we speak of right relations with God, right relations with our neighbor, right relations with ourselves. So God, our brothers and sisters, and then ourselves. And what brings us into relationship is faith and morals. So both of them often go hand in hand. Your actions with regard to your brothers and sisters, with regard to God, with regard to yourself, is a moral action. So it is morally binding on you, for instance, to always do what is right. It is always moral. It's binding on you to treat your brothers and sisters with love. It is binding on you as a person of faith to have right relations with God, in which case you do not flout his commandments. So these are often go side by side. You could say that faith and morals, from a standpoint of the church, are two sides of a coin.
Okay, so they are just faith and morals. They create a kind of balance.
They are balanced together, yes. They always go together. They always go hand in hand.
Okay, so what does it mean when they say a person is morally upright?
When you say a person is morally upright, you basically refer to the fact that this person is doing what they ought to do in their words, in their actions, and sometimes in the things they refrain to do. Because many times people look at morality basically as a do not, thou shalt not. It's not true. Morality is often morally negative precepts and then morally positive precepts. So negative precepts mean things that you should stay away from. Positive precepts mean things that you should do. So it's not always about what you should not do. Because you hear a lot of people say, faith or morality places some kind of restriction on my freedom. You are a free person. And freedom is not always about permissiveness. It's not about doing whatever you want to do. As St. John Paul II would say, freedom is not just doing what you want to do, but doing what you ought to do. So there's a way in which you should behave on a normal day, not just as you please, such that you now look at religion or morality in this case as a hindering factor.
But a lot of people will argue that is wrong, because as faith, there are things that you shouldn't do as a human being. They will argue that that cannot be freedom if there are things that I shouldn't do. I should be able to do everything as I'm alive to live my life the way I want to.
If people do whatever they like, there will be chaos. There will be chaos. If today we turn on the TV and we find out that the current president is no longer president, somebody else has maybe killed him in his sleep, and then comes to the television and announces and says, I am now the president of this country. And then tomorrow somebody else does the same thing. There's going to be chaos because we are no longer on stable grounds. Anything can happen. And in a situation where anything can happen, you have chaos. Society cannot be founded on chaos. Every group, every system thrives on order. Chaos is an anomaly. So when people say that of morality, that it places some kind of restriction on my freedom, and I'm not allowed to act freely, then there is a problem in their own understanding of life. They don't understand that there are certain things that have to be in place for them to do the things that they do. Say, for instance, life. Life is so precious that it has to be assured. There has to be some assurance that you're going to be alive for you to be able to do any other thing. If I am not sure, as Thomas Hobbes would say, Thomas Hobbes says that there is a state of nature. A state of nature to him is a state of chaos where anything and everything goes. And because of such a construct, one needs what he calls the commonwealth. We need the state. We need organization of people so that people will behave. If not, life will be nasty, brutish, and short. Nasty, brutish, and short. Those were his words, Thomas Hobbes. So one has to, even not for morality's sake, for common sense sake, we need some level of stability. What more? In order to do things the right way, we actually need to curb some people's excesses, or else we'll have problems.
I can imagine how crazy everything would be if everybody just went about doing whatever
they liked.
There's a lot of people walking naked actually in the streets.
Well, those are realities. Those are realities. And in some places, some people think that they can justify that. And some societies have actually made such a thing.
Accommodations for people.
Calling it the permissive society. You can do as much as whatever you like. You can change your gender. You can change your name. You can decide not to be called by a masculine or feminine pronoun. You can be called an it.
A them.
Or a them. So you find out, but those kind of things create complexities that are unnecessary. They are complexities that do not make any sense. So, but then they will tell you, to each his own. But then we'll talk about the different kinds of morality in order to understand these ideas better.
Life would be simpler if we could all just live moral lives.
Exactly.
Okay, when we come back from this break, we'll be answering the question, can there be religion without morality, or morality without religion? Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Catholic Faith Forum. I'm May, and I'm here with Fraje, and we're talking about morality.
Yeah.
So we're about to find out, can there be religion without morality, and morality without religion?
I think we answered this question in part when we spoke about faith and morals as two sides of a coin.
Create a balance.
Exactly. So in order to claim that one believes in God, there has to be a term of reference. And the term of reference in our relationship with God is holiness. Holiness means the right way to live, the rectitude of life. So if you are no longer holding on to holiness, if holiness is no longer the playing field where you and God relate, then you are not being moral. You are not trying to stick to the relationship. So morality comes in. Morality cannot be divorced from one's relationship with God.
Yeah.
In fact, the scripture says it. Jesus mentioned to his disciples, Matthew chapter 5, verse 48, be holy as your heavenly Father is holy. Be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. So there's already an understanding that morality is at the heart of our relationship with God, because there is the playing field of holiness. Holiness basically means doing things the right way. Another word for being moral.
Okay, so some people will argue that morality is subjective. Do you agree?
I don't agree. Even though, of course, it's a thing today, like I said. People say there are two broad categories of moral precepts. There is natural morality, or the natural law, in which case people by fact of being a human being, common sense teaches you that there's a way to do things, and there's a way not to do certain things, and there's an actual law that guides our action. Do good, avoid evil. But some people will tell you, no, morality is based off what I think. That morality is a construct, that people constructed morality, just like I mentioned Thomas Hobbes earlier. Thomas Hobbes actually subscribes to the view that morality is a construct, but it's a construct that is meant to make society more livable. But that's not true. Morality is not a construct, because if you say if it can be constructed, then it can be deconstructed and reconstructed. But it's not just a construct. It is the very fabric. It's interwoven into the very fabric of our humanity, to do good and to avoid evil. So if you ask me, there is only one morality and every other one.
Interestingly put.
Yes.
Okay, so are there types of morality?
Like I said, the question you're asking is what I just answered. The idea that there is a moral, there's a way to be moral. Do good, avoid evil. But if you talk about moral precepts, yes, there are different moral precepts. There is the precept of, like I said, religious precepts. There are religious precepts. There are societal precepts. There are family precepts. Okay, so different groups of people organize themselves in certain ways, but all under the same broad umbrella of doing what is good and avoiding what is evil. Even when some people, you would say, unknown to them, agree on some things that are actually evil as the way that guides them. Say, for instance, in this part of the world, you have cults, secret cults, where you tell people to perform human sacrifices.
Yes.
So to them, that is something that governs their own inner workings. It's a norm for them, but it is not something right.
It's not
So
at all.
That's something, yeah.
Okay, Father, thank you very much. When we come back, we asked some people questions about
morality.
We didn't ask it directly in that way. We asked if there was a right, something that could be right in one instance and wrong in another instance. And we got some very, very funny answers. When we come back from this break, we'll go through them. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're still talking about morality on Catholic Faith Forum. So we took opinions of people on social media. The question was, what could be wrong in one instance and right in another? And let me read out some responses. Someone said, sex. It can be wrong for married people and right for married people.
Yeah.
Another person said belief without an explanation. So I keep wondering, okay, belief, okay. In a way.
There could be a
some extremist ideologies about,
You always talk about fanaticism, even within Christianity. Some people see it as a tool for political gain. Okay, so I want a Christian or a Muslim to be in power by all means. So in that sense, you're using it as a tool. Yeah, for some other thing that is not meant for. Okay,
someone said play. Don't play when it's time to work.
That's a nice
and don't work when it's time to play.
Do the right thing at the right time. And that's what morality is, really. To do the right thing at the right time.
Know what to do, when to do it, and doing it when you should do it.
Yes.
Another person said prayer. Do not pray all day in church. Pray in the morning and go out and work during the day. So don't pray when you should be working and don't work when you should be praying.
Do the right thing, yes. So I think I saw a post recently on social media where somebody said, poverty does not die by fire. It dies by hard work. So do your work and God will bless you.
There's one church that was close to my house not long ago, and when we moved somewhere, and they had Wednesday morning services. Like service, I'm not saying like meetings, prayer meetings. A full service Wednesday morning. I'm like,
when it should be in the
all
office.
these people don't go to work.
Or maybe somebody they have storekeepers, or they have storekeepers that keep their work.
They're all bosses.
They're all bosses.
Because I'm like, if you're supposed to be in your market selling something, you are there Wednesday morning, or you're supposed to be at work, or if you work in a bank, anytime you'll be there if you work in a bank.
Those are extremist behavior. Sometimes I tell people, church should not become a business such that you keep people hostage when they should be somewhere else being productive. And that's why people say that religion is an opium, even though, of course, sometimes I question those statements. But such ideas basically justify the statement.
That's where they get their roots from.
Yeah, one should be careful with those things.
Yes, because we should use to do things at the right time. Know when to do it and do it.
There's a time to go to church.
There's a time for everything.
And there's a time for you to stay.
There's some people that
and do your work.
Like people that when they stand for exams, they're supposed to be reading and they are praying instead of reading. And they won't read though.
Okay.
It's going to miraculously be downloaded into your brain by the Holy Spirit.
I remember one of my lecturers always saying it to us then. He would say, go and study for exam because there will be no such things as angelic dictation. Yeah, there will be nothing like that.
Angel Gabriel will be whispering to you.
No.
Right, the answer is A.
Thomas Aquinas would say that grace builds on nature. So you have to put something in your head for God to now bless it.
Okay, so Father, why is it so important for us to live moral lives?
For one, it makes society better. It makes people more conscious that their actions actually affect other people.
Yes.
And then, like I mentioned, it also helps us in our relationship with God. Right relationship with God, right relationship with other people. In fact, if you're moral, every other thing falls into place because you would want to treat people as an extension of yourself. The values that you believe in are the things that you now want to see out there in the world, in the way you speak, in the way you treat other people, in the way you behave. And it is, in fact, a contradiction for you to be a person of faith and a person who claims to know morality and not be able to really actually live it out in your daily life.
That's the prime example. That's where we see that you're actually living a moral life.
Yes.
Not in your words.
Not just in your words. Words are not enough sometimes.
Practice what you preach.
Exactly.
Okay, most people think that using reward and punishment in teaching people about morality shrouds it in fear. Do you agree with that?
I think, yes, to some extent, it does. I don't think morality should be a thing of if you don't do it, you are going to die. If you don't do it, you are going to go to hell. Yes, there are consequences for your actions. There are consequences for immoral actions. There are consequences for moral action. But that shouldn't be at the fore. That shouldn't be the first thing. That shouldn't be what leads, what becomes the leading intention or motivation.
Yeah.
The leading motivation should be Like my parents will always say, have mercy on yourself. Do the right thing because it is right. Do it for yourself, first of all. You're a better person. You are better off as a good person than a bad person. I always have this picture in my head of people who do things that are wrong, that they always look rough and scruffy. It's not always the case, but there's something that you just see that is off about them.
Yeah.
You just know this person is mischievous.
He's
this person
shifty.
is just, the person is
Suspicious.
not, is just dubious, looks dubious. But if you are somebody who does what is right, you are lighter, you are more cheerful, you are outgoing, you are spirited, you are properly motivated, and you love what you do. You are not compelled to do it. You enjoy it. And it's funny that some people who do the wrong things, maybe through no fault of theirs, are very comfortable in doing those things, and they're very, very confident about what they do. According to some people, you do it with your chest. But the truth is, if you're a good person and you do what is right, it is not just going to be for yourself alone. It's going to affect other people, and people will be drawn to you because goodness attracts and evil repels. That's the truth.
Punchline, say it again. Punchline, say it again.
Goodness attracts and evil repels.
Okay, so as humans, we are expected to live by a certain moral code, or else our lives will become lawless and reckless. We need to live and learn to live our lives the way that it will be pleasing to God and man, so that we can all make heaven in the end.
That's our prayer. That's our ultimate goal. If after everything you miss heaven, what do you gain?
Nothing.
You don't gain anything at all.
2-0.
Yes, so.
Try.
Especially from this part of the world. you can't lose and suffer here and then lose heaven again. I beg. You know what? Just try to live a good life, live a moral life, and God will bless you.
Okay, so let's go back to Collins for today's episode of Know Your Faith. Stay with us.
Thank you very much, May. Hello and welcome to another episode of Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, and today we'll be talking about what we can do what happens when we face tribulations and temptations. Now, St. Paul in the first letter to the Corinthians in chapter 10, verse 13 says, "Every test that you have experienced is the kind that normally comes to people. But God keeps his promise, and he will not allow you to be tested beyond your power to remain firm. At the time you are put to test, he will give you the strength to endure it and so provide you with a way out." Now, the truth is that we live in a world full of temptations and sin is everywhere. Temptation is not new. It's going to come up. We face it every day. So what happens where we feel like it's just too much and we have to just fall, or we feel like we can't resist? What can we do, and how do we overcome such things? First of all, the Bible lets us know that it is not possible to face something that we cannot handle. God will not put us in a situation or place us in a situation where we cannot handle or be able to escape, find a route out. That's not possible. So the Bible's response to this fear is that it says, overcoming any temptation is entirely possible. And in this letter that I just read out from St. Paul, he points out that there is nothing that is new. And there's a common saying that nothing is new under the face of the earth. So the truth is, any temptation or any trial that you're facing now, somebody somewhere has faced it before. Not to take away the hardship from it, but it's the truth. There's nothing that is really new. There's nothing that you're going to face. Yes, things may change in some sort or, evolve, but it has happened before and somebody somewhere has tried to overcome it. So it's not peculiar. It's not only you. Okay, to put it that way, you're not the first person and you probably won't be the last. So it's important to know that if somebody else has probably escaped or tried to run away from that temptation, then you can do the same. St. Paul reminds us that God is still here for us. That he's not there to say, he's not testing you, or when you face tribulation, God is not there to say, okay, wait, let me see whether he will fail or let me see what he will do. No, he's always there. What we just have to try to do is try to reach out, try to actually communicate with God in prayer. I know that sometimes these things are not as easy as they say, but it's important that you actually make the effort to try to do them. God is always going to be there for us, so we just have to try to stretch out our hands and reach out to him. Finally, St. Paul adds that the promise that God will always make a way out is forever there. There's always going to be a way out. There's going to be an escape route. We can see Joseph when he faced Potiphar's wife. That was a very tough situation, but he escaped it. Now, even from Joseph's story, this is not to say that when you escape it, it will probably be, all rosy and very smooth from there. Joseph still faced unnecessary consequence. So it's very important for us to know that we can't really tell what might happen even after running away from that temptation, but it's important that we try to, always run away from these things. So to reflect again, the first is that St. Paul lets us know that there is nothing new that you're facing. People have faced these tribulations. It is hard. He knows, and I know, and we all know. But it's important to know that it is not new, and if another person has done it, you can do it. He also reminds us that God is always there for us. So we just have to try to reach out, and he would definitely support us. And finally, he lets us know that God always gives us an escape route. There's always a way to go. So just try and be patient, pray, and try to find a way out. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and back to you, May.
Thank you very much, Collins, for that. It was definitely interesting. Our saint of the day is Saint Alphonsus Liguori, celebrated on August 1st. He's the patron saint of moral theologians and vocations. Saint Alphonsus Liguori lived from 1696 to 1787. He is the founder of the Redemptorist congregation. He was the bishop and a doctor of the church. Alphonsus Liguori lived an incredibly rich and difficult life. He came from a prominent family in Naples, Italy. He received an excellent education in law and civics, earning 2 doctorates from the University of Naples at the age of 16. He founded the Redemptorist congregation in 1732. It was an association of priests and brothers living a common life, dedicated to the imitation of Christ and working mainly in popular missions for the peasants and in rural areas. He was made bishop at the age of 66 after trying to reject the honor, and at once instituted a thorough reform of his diocese. His greatest sorrow came towards the end of his life. The Redemptorists, precariously continuing after the suppression of the Jesuits in 1773, had difficulty in getting their rule approved by the Kingdom of Naples. Alphonsus acceded to the condition that they possess no property in common, but with the connivance of a high Redemptorist official, a royal official changed the rule substantially. Alphonsus, old, crippled, and with very bad eyesight, signed the document, unaware that he had been betrayed. Alphonsus is best known for his moral theology, but he also wrote well in the field of spiritual and dogmatic theology. His Glories of Mary is one of the great works on that subject, and his book, Visits to the Blessed Sacrament, went through 40 editions in his lifetime, greatly influencing the practice of this devotion in the church. Thank you so much for being with us on the show. It's been an exciting one. Thank you so much, Father Jay.
Thank you very much. It's always good to be here.
Yeah, so if you want to sponsor this show, because we rely on your sponsorship, please do so. Reach out to us on our social media platforms at CFF on TV or through the email and phone number displayed on the screen. You can also reach out to us via our website, www.dominicanmedia.com.ng. Also, feel free to reach out to us on your suggestions, questions, inquiries at CFF on TV on all our social media platforms, and we'll definitely get back to you. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Dominican Media Presents. You will see this episode and other episodes of the show, and you'll definitely enjoy yourself there. Also, make sure you join us every Tuesday at 7 p.m. for the CFF chat room with the hashtag CFF chatroom on Twitter every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Our question for this week is, should moral instruction be taught in school? What do you think? Join us on Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we'll have this conversation. Thank you so much, Father.
Good to have you always.
And that's the end of the show for today, fam. Till next time, keep being
saints in jeans and shirts.